Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about functions in Python and basically just how to write your first function and the general ways that you're going to write it and kind of like these little like edge cases, maybe not necessarily edge cases, but things that you should consider when you're first learning how to use these functions in Python. So what is a function? A function is basically just a compact amount of code that you can reuse over and over again by calling it, and it might have different inputs, but you basically give it the inputs, it transforms it in some way, and then returns an output. Or if you don't want output, it basically just does or completes those actions. So just to keep it simple, let's create add function. So we'll be adding two numbers. So the most important thing with starting in Python, to create a function is this def keyword. So what does that stand for? Define. So you're essentially defining your function, and then you're going to want it to basically name your function anything. I think the only thing is you can't put a number in front of. That would be the first character. Yeah. So you can see how it changed to red. And then the amount of parameters. These could be named anything you want, but yeah, they'll basically how you define them here will be how they're used down here. So, for example, if I wanted to just return the addition of both or the sum of both, then I would write this here. And once you have this all set up, you can actually call it down below. Since I'm returning one object, when you would do a return statement, it has to be attached to a variable. So let's say I want to be, let's call a variable new sum. So then I can call it down below, and this is usually how you're going to be calling your functions. First, you're going to be using the same way you spelled it, so add right here, and then whatever you call put into here, whether it be the actual integer data type or a number, you can also put variables in there as well. So I'll show you both. Let's just say we have A equals 10 and we have B equals 27. So I can actually just put those numbers directly into that variable, and essentially what Python does is it takes this first argument right here, converts that to, well, not doesn't convert it, but it essentially gives it a nickname or an alias. Say, hey, for this first argument, I want this to be x with inside my function. So it's just easier for you to read as a developer. So just imagine that x is 10, 10 plus, and then y is 27. So then 10 plus 27, that should return 37. So let me run this for you guys right here. So 37. And the same thing. So just to avoid some confusion, I'm going to now add the variables with the same values, and you should expect the same number. So it might be kind of confusing, like when you're first entering in a new language, like, whoa, I'm putting these variables A and B, but they're X and Y here, like what's happening? So again, essentially what's happening are these variables are just pointing to the underlying data value. So A is just pointing to 10. So like A equals 10. It's not the actual value, but it's nickname or name. So all you're doing here in this like function is like, hey, like whatever this first position right here. So in this case, A, that's actually X inside this function, or the block or scope of this function. So inside here, A is actually X. Same thing with B. It doesn't get changed, but you're basically getting like a new nickname or alias within the function. And then once it's run, it returns that value. That new value gets assigned to this variable set right here, and then you just print out the statement. So you can actually also call methods without values, but they don't. Those functions can't have parameters. So they can't have parameters inputs. So for example, let's say unless they have like optional parameters, which we'll talk about in a bit. But let's just say print hello in Spanish. Print hola. So with this, I can call it down here, And all I have to do is with this function right here is to the right of the same name, print hello in Spanish. I just have to have an open parentheses and close parentheses, and this will call it. So if I were to save my code right now and rerun it, I should expect to see 37 and hola. So you can see that right here. And then it's just up to you to decide if you want to return a value. So in this case, this add function, of course I want to return a value because I'm just doing addition on the inputs I'm taking and returning the output. With this, I just wanted to do like a simple action. It's not returning anything, so I didn't include the return statement. So one thing that might be of interest to you is if you have like an indeterminate amount of numbers. So let's say you have add function, but you don't know how much variables go inside. What you could use is the args or arguments function. So again, we can make this add function actually pretty flexible or robust by adding this args function. So if I just wanted to add everything here, I can just do the first number and then all other arguments afterwards. So let me change this right here. So let's just do 10, 10, 30, 40, 30, 55. So basically what's happening in Python, this first value 10, it's 10 plus the args. So I believe here you just, like with this little asterisk symbol and the args right here, everything to the right of that first argument basically gets interjected with this return statement. So let's see if that works. There might be one thing we have to change, but that should be pretty simple to do. Okay, I think it might be this. Let me just make sure. Okay, 1 second. Let's check that out. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I'm sorry, guys. You got to do like a whole sum function. So like I'm just adding like everything there in the args and then adding it to x. So this should work right now. Boom. So you've added everything to the right of this first variable, which is 11. If we want to change that back to a, that works right here. Boom. Okay, so again, this first parameter is specified, and then we don't know how much values are to the right, so I could have added something like 39 to this list, and it still works. So you can add less or more, not included at all, and it still works. One other thing that I would like to add before closing out is if you want to add a default value. So this might be useful if a user does not provide a value for one of the inputs. You have a default value. So maybe you want to have like a default number like count. You want to have it start at 1 if the user doesn't provide that. Then this is how you would structure your code. So let's see, count numbers, and then just say that we want it to be end and then start, and then we just have that be the default parameter. And essentially what we're doing is for I in range and start end, and then print I. So for example, if the user wanted to start the number at like 1 or 2, then they would just overwrite it down below. So let's just call that count numbers function, and I'll show you how it works. So and then we're basically just iterating. So we're starting from 0 by default, but let's say the user wants to start by 2, then it'll start at 2 right here, and then it just count from 2 to the end. And end is like how high they want to count to. So for end, let's say they want to count to 100, and they want to start at 3. So if I didn't include that 3, it would count from 0 to 100. So you can see it counted to 99 because it's this little end statement on the range is non-inclusive. So if I wanted to include that 100 number, I just have to type in 101. So again, non-inclusive means is it counts up to this point, but not including that value. And then if I want to specify the start number, then I would give it. Oh, I wouldn't say that. I can actually just type in 3. So when these input parameters get sent to this function, this is 101, and then the default behavior serial gets the default behavior or value 0 gets overridden by this user input, which is 3. So you should see the numbers counting from 3 to 100. And just to make it more readable, I'm going to say like 92. 92. So we can read that more. And you can see, let's see. So it's still counted. So let's just do a quick error checking. Make sure that everything's fine. Right here. Oh, okay. I see what I did wrong. This should be 0, and this should be 92. Apologize, guys. So this should just count 92 to 100. See, 92 to 100, and that's basically how you use a default parameter value. So you set it up here inside the parentheses, and you have it be equal. So for example, if you wanted to add a third parameter, let's just say name. You would just have it be empty or include something there. So that's how you do it. You basically just use the equal sign to the right of the parameter name and then some default value. So I'm just going to erase that. But yeah, basically that's just a quick overview of functions. I hope this helped. If you like this content, please send a tactical nuke on that subscribe button. Like the video, please. And I can't wait to release some more Python videos and hopefully JavaScript videos in the future too. Thank you guys. Cheers.